Hi guys, welcome back to Windsome Cottage Garden. My name is Hannah. I'm so glad you decided to join me today. We are in the cottage garden and this is the beginning of something very, very exciting. We are putting in our vegetable garden. Now, I've said this before. This year what we're doing is more of a temporary vegetable garden situation. My parents have plans to build a more elaborate raised bed system with high raised beds. They're both retired here. They're still young, they're very healthy, but they want to be cognizant of the fact that they're aging and make sure whatever they put in is friendly for not so much bending over and just, making sure it's as ergonomical as possible as gardening beds go for vegetables. But that's going to be a lot larger project. We've had a couple of other things pop up this spring that we knew we were not going to be able to build the vegetable garden that they were dreaming of and want in this space in the spring. And we kind of ran into a similar project last year where some things inside the house took over. And instead of missing a whole growing season, what they've decided to do is just put some raised beds in this area, just simple pressure treated, so that they can have something in this bed. So it won't be like the final vegetable garden, but it's getting started, which is always part of the hardest part when you're thinking of beds. My brother Sean is home for the summer, and he and my dad actually have already done a lot of work this week. So I'm actually going to in a moment show you what they've been up to. Not everything has been recorded, but aspects of it are. And then I'll go show you what the space is looking like right now before we dive in to adding some more features to this area. One quick thing I wanted to add, and I've talked about this in other videos, but if you haven't seen them, I just want to repeat it. So I apologize if this is repetitive, but we are in West Michigan. We're zone 6 and we're really far north. We have a fairly short growing season. I think it's about 120 days. And their lot is such that the only place to really put this vegetable garden is actually right down by the water. You can see it's right behind me. Couple things. It's not going to impact their view or any of their neighbors' view. And it's actually the warmest spot and sunniest spot on our entire property. So it's perfect for this vegetable bed. It also still leaves this huge space of swan for the kids soccering or any other things we would want to do in this space. So you'll be able to see in the video, there's a string outline of how the final size of this bed will be. And this year, this is really what we're working with, and we're really excited about having it in this space. very, very busy. They built these are 4x8 beds. They haven't really keyed them in. They even didn't dig out the sod. I don't know if you saw that at all, but what we've done is actually put large pieces of cardboard in the bottom, wet them down, and put the soil on top of them. And then my dad did water the soil in so it settled a little bit. Eventually we are going to have to pull these up and put in our larger raised beds, but it won't be too much work, and it's worth it for us to be able to use it this year. And this is actually still a large amount of growing space. The way I figure it, with 4x8 beds, we should be able to fit, if we wanted to, up to 8 tomato plants per, which we're not going to just do tomato plants. Other things in this area that are looking fantastic is look at this nectarine. It is a flavor top nectarine, self-pollinating, but ironically, I have not seen any pollinators on it, which kind of surprises me, to be honest, because it is in full glory. It's looking very, very healthy. If you guys remember, we actually purchased these last spring and they lived up on the deck of the house for quite some time. It's looking, I'll tell you right now, it's looking really, really great. We actually just filmed a cottage garden tour that you're going to be seeing very, very soon, but you get a sneak peek here. So we're actually thinking about hand pollinating it. But my dad and brother are going to be working on the fencing and some plant supports today. So I'm going to set up a video to show you that process and then provide more information later. Once more, it is a new day. You can see behind me that the garden beds are looking really good. We're gonna pop down there later to plant some things in them, the first things in the space, which is really exciting. But first, I actually want to get some seeds started in some green stalks my parents have on their deck. If you followed us last year, you know they did a lot of container gardening on their deck, which is pretty big and is a sun trap, so it's nice and heated. The challenges they ran into were chipmunk related. They have these two green stalks used to host a ton of strawberries. I don't think they harvested one because the chipmunks ate them. They had beans in here, chipmunks ate them all. The chipmunks also took bites out of their tomatoes, and their peppers kind of failed to thrive. So that's one of the main impetuses for us moving down there. They really wanted to actually get the produce that they were building, and they weren't really able to deter the chipmunks all that much. So we are putting most of our stuff down there. The strawberries in these containers, one of them they've completely died out. The other one, I think they might live. So we're going to keep watering them and give them a little more time just in case. But the one that they did die out of, I'm going to go ahead and plant with some leafy greens. I forgot my markers, and I also forgot my green onions, so I'm going to leave spots for those. But I did find the other day some ranunculus corms I forgot to plant in the city, so I'm going to add them into this green stock for some pretty vertical interest. So let's get that planted. I'll kind of give you a tour of that and help myself remember where things are. And then we will head down to the vegetable garden to get those things in the ground there and give you a closer look. Everything is all planted up. I realized I didn't have markers, so you may have seen me taking photos so I can add markers later. But I wanted to give you a close look, even though there's not a lot going on right now, and explain what I did. This is actually going to be our herb garden bed. We had some tarragon that came back, and we do use a lot of tarragon, so I seeded some more here. I've never seeded tarragon before. We'll see if anything comes of that. I also put in each of the corners ranunculus corms. There's 2 each in the front, 1 in the back. Along here I did some French breakfast radishes, and along here I seeded some thyme. So there's still a lot of space for us to add other herbs that we will probably buy started plants for. I also did top this up with land and sea compost. And actually I need to hop the drip back in. So let's tack this down. This is the green stalk that I think there is a little life in these strawberry plants still. We're going to water them a little more thoroughly and give them a little more time before we say they're officially dead. So I didn't do anything in there, but I did top up each of these layers with land and sea compost. Typically I'd probably do a raised bed mix in here, but I really wanted something with more nutritional value that will help with moisture retention. So we popped that in, evened out some of the soil, and then I did on each level 2 opposite ends had ranunculus corms placed in and kind of did a swirl around. And then I tried to do 2 pockets of salad and 2 pockets of something else. So like on the bottom that was French breakfast radish and some kale. The next level I think that was mustard greens, and I left a space for green onions, which I forgot the seeds for. And then up here I think it was kale or mustard greens. Oh, kale and mustard greens. And this one I think was, oh, there's a red-winged blackbird who is annoyed with me right now. But this one, we left some more space for green onions and then also put some wasabi radish in here. I've never tried that before, but I got the seeds free from Baker Creek and I thought, let's try them. Now I'm going to go head down to the new vegetable garden, give you a closer look at it, and then get some seeds and some cabbage starts in the ground. Okay, we are down in the vegetable garden and it is looking so good. We ended up using 2 cattle panels, 16 foot by 50 inch. They have lots of different configurations. These are the kind that were $35 at our Tractor Supply Company. They had another one that I think had smaller holes that were like $80. We didn't go with those. We went with the $35 one. And we're going to use these for tomatoes over there, and then this in the middle is going to be where we're going to plant some snow peas and sugar snap peas on right now. And long term, I think we're also going to put some Kajari melons, some cucamelons, and maybe some personal sized watermelon, like one. Haven't fully figured that out yet, but we're going to be doing some vertical growing. So let's get the seeds going, and I'll kind of give you an update of what's where. The first seeds are in the ground. Both of these beds, what I ended up doing was planting the peas along the fence line, and then we're doing a row of beets, though at the beginning and the end of this row are rutabagas. So there's 2 rutabagas here and there, and then I have golden beets in between, and these are sugar snap peas. And then over here I have 2 rutabaga, and these are bull's blood beets all the way till here. 2 more rutabaga, and then this side is green beauty snow peas. To be honest, I probably could have moved it a little closer to the edge of the bed, but I wanted to leave room for this board because it's just another one of the 8x12s, but since it's the same length of the bed, it's really nice to put here, and then you can sit on it without damaging your bed or hurting your butt trying to perch on that. So I'm probably going to leave this like this, maybe plant some alyssum or some marigolds there, but long term this will probably stay a little far away. I could also potentially come in and add a row of carrots on either side, but I don't really know if I'm going to do that. Maybe when I take out the beets, we'll add the carrots. We are also going to get these cabbage starts in the ground today, and actually there's some prep work that needs to be done before we can do it. You can see these stakes are where they're going to go. We're going to do that in this corner and that corner because that's dead space right now. And we want to maintain that nice space in the middle where my brother Sean is for seats. That will probably bring down here at some point in time. But to do that, Sean's going to cut the grass real short and then cut out the sod around those before we get the cabbage starts in the ground. We're not going to take the grass out completely this year anyway. In the future, when we've got our full bed, that'll probably stay that, but it's looking so good. So good. Sean and my dad are also going to be putting up the fence around this. There's been some change in plan. We were going to just put up a temporary 4-foot fence, but they happen to have the stuff we were going to put in long term or at Tractor Supply, so they're going to put in the 6-foot fence, which is what will be here eventually and is better for deer. They can jump very high. I think they can jump up to like 8 feet. But they won't jump where they can't see how to land on the other side. So at first we thought, the 5-foot, 4-foot, 5-foot fence would be fine. But there's one area that I think I could see them jumping. And since they had that and we haven't done the project yet, my dad's going to go get it and do the higher fence. I'm not sure if I'm going to include that in this video, mostly because I have to go back to the city today, sadly. But it's still a beautiful start. Hopefully I'll get the cabbage in the ground before the end of this video. So my dad's going to finish this while I head back to the city, but I did want to just show you the finished circles and one lone plant Over here we have a different type of cabbage that's got a similar look. I know that I've talked about this a long time. It's really exciting to see it come to fruition and look so much better than I had been thinking when we were talking about doing something temporary. I know that this is actually really, really nice. And I wouldn't be surprised if my mom decides she wants to grow in it for a little while before they do a higher raised bed. I think it's so cool that they're using this space in this way. And I know my mom's really anxious to get back to some of her tomato plants that she used to have. Last year she was really sad when they didn't have the harvest they were expecting with their container gardening. Anyway, if you like this video, please make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can follow along with our vegetable garden here, as well as our landscape garden at the cottage and in the city. We do a lot of gardening, including a lot of vegetable gardening there as well. I'll link a video here that gives you a brief overview of what's going on in the city, because there's going to be a lot of things getting planted out in the next week or two as our last frost date kind of is looming ahead. I'm really excited just to get them out and get them growing, not only because I'm excited to do that, but I'd like the space back in my house. I'm kind of maxed out with the grow lights and whatnot. Anyway, I really appreciate you joining me today, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.